All right, y'all. What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl, Josina Anderson, host of The Exhibit Show. We're just doing a quick show reacting to the major news that happened on today when it comes to a seismic shift in the NFL. John Harbaugh now available on the market after 18 years spending time with the Baltimore Ravens and parting ways with the organization. We are joined by former Giants cornerback Prince Amukamara in the building, who was also a part of a team in the past who's now looking for a head coach, and MSNBC contributor and Pittsburgh Steelers fan in the building, Keith Reed. What is going on?
The
You want to start with me or
news.
you want to start with Prince?
I mean, Prince, you guys need a head coach. John
Yep.
Harbaugh's available. I'm not trying to put any words in your mouth. Who? First of all, react to the news, and who would y'all be looking for?
Yeah, the John Harbaugh news is crazy. I saw Tony Dungy tweet that. He tweeted his last four seasons and how three out of four of them has been winning seasons. Three out of four of them has been playoff appearances. And I feel like John Harbaugh is one of those coaches that should leave on his own terms. And I feel like right now the owners are treating coaches like how the coaches are treating quarterbacks. They want the microwave success. I mean, let's not even talk about what's going down in Las Vegas with the Raiders and their coaching carousal. But yeah, John Harbaugh's gonna land on his feet. Nobody's worried. Um, I am hoping for the Giants that if a big if Coach Tomlin becomes available, that he will be a candidate. One thing that I don't get is if the interim finishes well, which I think Coach Kafka did pretty good, is he not in consideration? Why not just keep him? But John Harbaugh could be a guy that the Giants look at, and my former Bears coach Matt Nagy, who I have the utmost respect for. I hope he gets a job this year.
Okay, well, go ahead, Keith.
So I hate to disappoint Prince, but my guy is doubtful going to be available at the end of the season, and I want to say that so I say that with pride, but I also say that with some sincerity because one of the interesting things coming into the Steelers Ravens game that just happened on Sunday night was my thought about that game is that it was a game that was going to involve a changing of the guard, and if you would have asked me before that game, the changing of the guard and the big shift was more likely to be on the Steelers end than it was going to be on the Ravens end. The Ravens came in
Hmm.
even though they've been having a tough season on paper. Everybody expected the Ravens to win. One of our former colleagues, Tyler Dragon from ESPN, who's now national NFL writer at USA Today, texted me before the game and was like, "Hey man, your Steelers are going to lose," and da, da, da. And we kind of went back and forth about that. Shout out to Tyler. But the idea was there was so much pressure, there was so much more weight on Mike Tomlin. And if the Steelers had lost that game, think about it. We've actually seen Steelers fans inside Acrisure Stadium chanting "Fire Tomlin." That is a thing that never happens in the city of Pittsburgh in that stadium in a home game. That's unheard of. Um,
Wow.
there's been so much talk over the last, not just this season, but because of how the Steelers ended the season last year, losing to the Ravens in the playoffs, that this could be the year, this could be the straw that broke the camel's back for Mike Tomlin. And then think about the dominoes, Prince. Think about the dominoes, Josina. If the Steelers had lost this game, Cam Hayward. Are we sure that Cam Hayward was going to come back and play another
Mm.
year? Aaron Rodgers, if he lost, because of the way things went in New York with the Jets, and if he got to the Steelers, had the season that he's had that's been kind of up and down, and then they lost this game and missed the playoffs, would Aaron Rodgers want to come back? There was so much weight, there were so many consequences for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they lost that game, that it went the other way. I feel like just lifted a huge weight off of that team. They're going into the playoffs healthier than they've gone into the playoffs. I don't know if any of you saw Mike Tomlin's press conference earlier, but I watched it. He talked about how the team is pretty much healthy, um, which is saying a lot given some of the injuries that they had coming into last week's game. We all know about T.J. Watt's situation. You know, I thought that this game was going to be a changing of the guard. I unfortunately, as a Steelers fan, thought that it might be a bigger changing of the guard in the ushering in of a new era for the Steelers. Now we see that it's entirely different. John Harbaugh lost this game. Ravens fans had more quietly, but also been talking about wanting a change, clamoring for a change if John Harbaugh could not get back to a Super Bowl. They missed the playoffs, and now he's looking for another job.
Mm.
So, okay, you basically said that you would like to see Matt Nagy, Prince Amukamara for the Giants job. Who else did you say?
I would just like to see him get a job, but I would like to see him be considered for the Giants job. I mean, he's an offensive guru. I mean, what he did with the Chiefs, what he did with Trubisky when I was there, and so just hoping he could do the
So
same with
hold on. Do you think that it showed that Matt Nagy was an offensive guru when he was with the Bears?
100%. Dude, Mitchell Trubisky threw like 6 touchdowns in one half, and he was a
Okay,
Pro
I'm not
Bowler.
talking about one game where he threw
I'm saying,
six.
and he was
I'm
a Pro
talking about
Bowler,
over
and he
the
was a Pro
I'm talking
Bowler.
about over the course of the season. Do you think that Matt Nagy to Chicago Bears fans was coming off as an offensive guru?
To the fans, I can't speak for them. Probably not. If we're being real, probably not. But to
Okay.
me, 100%.
When he
And look
came
what
and
he's
when he
did. Look
came
what
to
he's
the
did with
Chiefs,
Mahomes. Yes,
look
they
at what
won.
he did with Mahomes.
They won 2
You
Super
mean that
Bowls when he
what
was
was
there.
already in place before he left the Chicago Bears
They
and went to Kansas, and then this past season where they
well,
missed the playoffs? I'm just asking the questions.
I know
So
you are. I know
do
you
you
are.
think the
When they were
okay?
there,
Because it's my understanding that
we're going off
there's this.
facts.
Okay,
Well,
it's my
okay.
understanding that there
Let me
should
ask you
be.
this question, Josina. When he was there, did he win 2 Super Bowls as the offensive coordinator? Just yes or no?
Are you talking about?
All right, then. That's
Uh,
what I'm saying. Okay, then.
okay. Listen.
But anyways, yes, him. I want Matt Nagy. There's rumors. I think Brian Flores might be available, but there's rumors about the Raiders might be connected
Brian
to him.
Flores is available as a head coach candidate, so it's not a rumor. He is
Yes,
available as a
okay.
head coach
But
candidate.
there's the rumors that he might be already, connected to the Raiders. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with that. But Tomlin, Keith kind of broke my dreams a little bit. But Tomlin, if or when he becomes, listen,
You want to explain
Tomlin.
that he broke your dreams? What are you talking
I'm
about?
saying he's saying he's disappointing me with the news. He's saying that the Steelers are not going to give him up. But I feel like that if Tomlin is available, that's as shocking as John Harbaugh. I don't think anyone had John Harbaugh being available at the end of the year on their bingo card. I don't think so.
All right, go ahead, Steve.
No,
Go ahead, Keith.
no, yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, I do think that coming into, like I said, last week's game, that there was a lot more smoke around the idea of Mike Tomlin leaving, at least nationally. What I will say is that inside the city of Pittsburgh and inside the fan base, so what's happening with Tomlin is interesting in that I don't think there's nearly as much conversation inside the building on the south side of the Monongahela River about Mike Tomlin potentially leaving, either on his own, and definitely not with the Rooney family being interested in letting him go, as there is among the fan base who are disappointed that they haven't made it deeper into the playoffs, or
I don't think
the
anyone's
conversation
saying
that's
that
been
it would
happening.
be
Like,
because of the Rooney family. I think this was at least my understanding is this is all about just considerations, at least per league sources. Okay, I just tell you what people tell me, that it was a consideration coming into the season and a consideration for the end of the season, whether it be for TV or just potentially wanting a different change or environment, not because the Rooneys would be pushing him out or not appreciative or anything like that. It wasn't anything about that. And yes, I think as you alluded to it with John Harbaugh's statement that came out, I think you could tell he didn't go in there expecting, it to unfold this way or started the season off this way. But nonetheless, John Harbaugh remains
and,
prepared.
and I wanted to say that because I went back before we jumped on here. I went back and I went and read the Ravens statement today, the statement from Steve Bisciotti, which actually they did it in two parts. And the first part was the statement from the Bisciotti family saying, "We have relieved John Harbaugh of his duties." So they were very specific in the wording of that, in terms of making it clear that they made the decision to let him go. And then they had John Harbaugh's statement. And that was a little bit of surprise to me, because I thought, if anything, if they were to let Harbaugh go, it would at least be couched in this mutual parting of ways. To Prince's point, this is a guy that's been a coach for 18 years of a very successful franchise. Neither one of these coaches that we're talking about falls into the category of a coach that hasn't been successful or has been in a franchise that's been considered a mess, like, say, Kevin Stefanski. And I'm not saying anything necessarily bad about him, but he has been part of an organization that has not seen a lot of success and has seen a lot of turnover at the head coaching position and at the quarterback position and at the GM position and at the, like, there's been so much turmoil in that organization. These are guys who have been coaches of teams that have been among the most stable and successful franchises in the NFL by any measure. Right.
So what's your however? Because you were saying that when you originally looked at this statement. Go ahead.
I was surprised that they made it very clear that they relieved him of his duties. They actually used that phrase. I was shocked at that. I thought that they would that if he was going to leave, that it would be couched, like Prince said, it would be couched, and like you kind of talked about with Tomlin, that it would be him making the decision, or that they would at least give him the public facing ability to resign, or say that we've decided to move on to our next chapter.
Ways.
But they made it clear.
You know what? This is what I'm gonna just say, and this is just my opinion. This is not a report; it's my opinion. I got deep respect for John Harbaugh. I think he's accomplished a lot. I think he's a culture builder. I think he's well regarded. I think he's done a lot. I think he can relate to today's players. I think he can manage elite personalities and all that other stuff. And if I had to guess, which is just a guess, however the situation came up today, and it was talked about, John Harbaugh, in my opinion, is also a proud man. You know what I'm saying? So, you're not going to just be, and that's partly what I love. You're not going to just be talking to him anyway. You know what I'm saying? And,
Sure.
I'm sure at some point in that conversation is like, look, it's my guess. It's like, look, what time it is. Okay. That's what time it is. Okay. So, and maybe that's, that's just my guess. But I respect.
But wouldn't that
about him?
Because of his pride and because of the level of prestige and respect that he carries in the building and around the league, doesn't it follow a little bit more that they would just say, we've come to a mutual parting of the ways? Like, I don't want to make too much.
No, I don't know. I just don't know that at any point the conversation got emotional, or because I don't know. I mean, there's so much I could just add to that. I'm also not trying.
Sure,
to.
I get it.
But yeah, go ahead.
I personally assign significance, for whatever it's worth, but I personally assign significance to the idea that they were specific in saying that we relieved him of his duties. I thought that he was owed more than that.
Oh,
in this moment.
I agree with that.
Even if he was going to part ways, like even as a diehard Steelers fan, like putting my fandom aside and putting on my just guy who has covered sports for a long time and knows these organizations.
But you know what? That's also
like,
PR. That's just PR in the building, regardless of what the emotions is going down. That needs to be conveyed. You're right. He was owed that, and I think there's an element of surprise that you can just hear in whatever he had to say. And that was not that he's not. Gosh, go ahead, Keith. Yeah.
That was the other piece of it, is that so the first part of it is like the surprise of saying, like, hey, we fired him, and then the second part of it was saying was him saying, like, oh yeah, man, they fired me. This was kind of a shock, and putting that out in this as part of the same statement from the team. Like, if he.
It seemed a little rushed relative to that, trying to get something out before the news, this and that and the third. And, again, it's just you watch the Baltimore Ravens game, obviously against Steelers. You're a big Steelers fan, and that kick just changed a lot of stuff. But I got to tell you, when I seen Kyle Hamilton get hurt, I'm also a spiritual person. I look at things through discernment lens. I said this to multiple people that I've been on the phone with since. I personally felt like I seen the hand of God just come down in that game and change, because if he would have been in that game, the Ravens would have won. That's just the way that I
the game changed when he got hurt.
Yeah. And it's like, but I feel like it's like a universal thing, as far as like, that's what had to happen, but based off whatever grand, way that God's gonna work things out. That's just how I look at it. That's what I felt. Prince, if you can hear me, go out and come back in, because I also have to do another show in Miami.
All righty.
No.
Thanks
Why did we lose your picture, Prince?
I'm here. What do you mean?
Joe, you are. Come back out.
I'm here.
We do not see you, Prince. We do not see you.
It's all
Can
good.
you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Let's just roll with the
All right,
flow.
that's my time. No, that's my cue to get go. I got to get this Jamaican oxtails and plantains. But
okay, well, as we can hear
thanks
you,
for
because
having me.
we're not going to do a super long show for everybody that's joining us live. But Prince, beyond Matt Nagy, is there anybody else that you prefer that we can talk about real quick, and what you think that the Giants need?
What do you mean? What do I think? I think. First of all, I do want to say this. I'm glad that we kept Joe Shane. I feel like he deserves another shot at it, and he's brought in great guys. So good job for him on a personnel point. But like I said, yes, I would like to see Matt Nagy. I would like to see an offensive type coach, and so Matt's the one that comes to my mind. An unpopular opinion. Am I still being heard right now?
You're being heard. We just can't see you. I don't understand how we lost
can't see me.
But go ahead.
My bad. An unpopular opinion. His name's not floating around, but the more I see his stuff online, it's Gruden, man. I want to see Gruden get some interviews, whether it's college or the league. But
I am talking about the New York Giants.
I know. Yes, but that's what I'm saying. I would like to see his name in the hat. Listen, anytime you fire a head coach, when you're looking for somebody new, you need someone to kind of restore the order. And I feel like Gruden is one of those guys. Harbaugh is one of those guys. Tomlin is one of those guys. And I saw the Giants looking at Stefanski. I mean, he's an offensive type guy. I think they have, and Antonio Pierce, I think, was his name on the list. I feel like Antonio Pierce, he's not an offensive type guy, but he's a guy that's going to restore the order, and I feel like guys are going to rally around him and play hard for him.
Go ahead, Keith.
Do you think that a coach like Stefanski could do what's needed to be done with Jackson Dart, given the way the Browns quarterback rooms and the way the Browns quarterback situation have been managed this season?
Well, he won't have that problem in New York, because we know Jackson Dart is the guy. So now he can just put all his focus on Jackson Dart. I think what was happening in Cleveland is you had Flacco, you have Pickett, you had Gabriel, you had Sanders, and you still have Watson. And so it's just like
there was just so Huntley at some point.
You did. And so there was just so much going on. I'm sure he had to appease to everybody. And to be honest, I don't know if he was calling all the shots there. I think so. Yeah, I think if he goes to New York, his focus is going to be on Jackson Dart, and he could put all of his energy there.
So who is your best pick?
I like Nagy. I like Nagy. I like Nagy. I'm gonna go with Nagy.
Do you think
Coach Matt Nagy.
On that choice, like outside?
I'm not biased. He was already head coach. He has head coach experience. I feel like he can put a great team together from an OC and a DC point of view. And to be honest, selfishly,
so you would like Matt Nagy better than Cliff Kingsbury for Jackson Dart? I like
Cliff. Oh my God, those would be my top two. I like Cliff. I like Cliff a lot. That's good.
I mean, listen, you and I can have a debate on Matt Nagy's record. I mean, keep in mind, obviously, the Chiefs missed the playoffs.
He was coach of the year one year. Like, stop. He was coach of the year.
So was Kevin. So Kevin Stefanski was also
two-time. Exactly. He was two-time.
But for those listening, and I'm so mad that your face is not on here right now. You're killing me, Prince. Okay.
Sorry.
But according to according to league sources, all right, there are people. This is not what I say. So I mean, I really don't actually care for you, whatever. But I just tell y'all what people say. That's what I do. But what I'm saying is, you go to the two-time coach. I'm not taking away from the fact that Kevin Stefanski knows football, and all these other things. However, I am aware that there are people who stay around the league that they feel like Kevin Stefanski's two-time coach of the year has a lot to do with the coaches who were on staff at the time who were there. You go. Oh my God, bro. Really? What are we looking at inside your car? Who are not coach of, who are no longer on that staff now. And when they're gone, so was the record and all that other stuff. I don't know what Prince is doing. Keith, you can pick that up right there. Go ahead.
No, I think I don't know. This coaching carousel is going to get real interesting this season. I mean, every year it's super interesting. This year is going to be, I think, even more interesting just because some of the characters, with John Harbaugh being at the top of the list, have been in place for some time. Stefanski was probably the longest tenured Browns coach in some time because he's been there for 6 years. Um, yeah, just trying to mix and match these names and faces to teams over the next 4 or 5 months is
It's gonna
probably
be
more like 2 to
interesting.
3 months. It's gonna be super interesting.
But I just want to really add that to because it's a good conversation point. People talk about the two-time. And listen, I'm just telling you what people say. I just want people to understand that and just think about that. Because there are multiple coaches that were there at the time that are not there now, and some of those people will tell you, "Oh, dang! Hold on a second. I'm on a live stream right now. Hold on, let me make sure. Let me just mute so it don't come through on this microphone. Hold on. Dang. All right, we definitely got to hear from that call. Said to that person, I'll call him in 30 minutes because I got to jump on a live stream in Miami. But really quick before we go, and Keith, I'd definitely love to have you back. We can do this either later tonight or tomorrow, because I want to dive into more, with your team. Maybe we'll get Rashad Jennings on tonight. I just be tired sometimes, and then I'm like, okay, let me jump into my Rolodex and get some people on. But I just want to say that, there are people who say that they feel like, a lot of that has to do with the staff that was on the staff when Kevin was getting those awards, and they're not there now. That's just what they say. And then just going back to the playoff record, that yes, he had the one playoff win, but he was not coaching the game for that game. So I'm just adding that. When you're looking over resumes and you talk with this, people keep talking about two-time coach of the year. I'm just saying.
Sure,
but some people say. Mm-hmm.
Right. At the last thing I'll say, and I'll leave it on this note, is that yes, I've heard that and I understand it, but also, again, we talk about these coaches and quarterbacks. We always talk about them on an island as though organization doesn't matter. And we know that organization absolutely matters, right? Stefanski is in an organization that is known for anything but stability.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, you could debate how much credit goes to offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, coaching staff when Kevin Stefanski was winning Coach of the Year awards, but to the victor goes the spoils. That is the way the NFL works. Nobody looks around and says when a quarterback gets the MVP award, oh well, really that award should have gone to the offensive line. But no quarterback wins NFL MVP if they didn't have a good offensive line. It's pretty hard to do that, right? That's just the way this works. If you are the guy that is calling the shots, that is in the position of the head coach, you're the front man, you're the CEO on the sidelines of an NFL organization. When that organization has either a dramatic turnaround or a very excellent year, you're gonna get the credit for that. And because of that, just like when you have free agency come up, when if you win a Super Bowl in your quarterback's free agent year, or in the free agent year for some of those great players, you're going to lose some of those guys next year. You're going to lose an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. it might not work the next year with the next year's personnel. So I don't put too much stock in that just because that's how the NFL works. And Kevin Stefanski may well go to another organization that has more stability. Even somebody might argue more competence at the top of
This
the
is
running
what I
organization,
think.
and
Okay.
put him in a position to succeed in a way that maybe he wasn't with the Cleveland Browns.
Honestly, you know, and I'm not just saying this about Kevin Stefanski. I've said this when it comes to Anthony Lynn. I've said this, you know, with other coaches. I can't even remember all. I've been covering the NFL since 2002. Okay, but I do think Kevin Stefanski would benefit from taking a year off. I think you should take a year off, and so that you don't get in there, you're not coaching on the field, and you're trying to, you know, prove your point and make it about you at certain points. And sometimes that just happens subconsciously or whatever. I think sometimes it's just good to just take a step back, get a better idea, you know, just let it flow and then come back. That's what I, you know, would think. I'm not saying he can't be successful next year, but that's personally what I think. It's just there was a lot that's going on between the whole Deshaun Watson thing, or Sanders thing, whatever. I think it's sometimes it's just and there are coaches who have done that. They've taken time off, even what's his face, Sean Payton, and then shoot, Mike Tomlin might do that, and then come back to it. Shoot, Mike McDaniel might do that. Quiet as kept. If he, you know, gets back, that's a whole nother story. I'll talk about that later. But anyways, I appreciate having you on. Thank you so much. I do want to dive a little bit more into your Steelers and the whole Mike Tomlin thing, because there's so much there. We got to get into it. Prince Amukamara, I don't know what you're doing. I know you're pumping gas. You're all over the place as usual, but I still appreciate you coming on.
He said he had to go get his curry goat.
He said he had to go get oxtail curry goat. I got to jump on a show for the Miami Dolphins, and I got to call back this source. Hey, everybody watching the exhibit show, I appreciate you. I'll keep putting this link out. I'm still testing the YouTube and the Twitter, you know, whatever. And I may come back on if Rashard Jennings or whatever wants to jump on this evening. If not, I'll try to come back on tomorrow. My sunglasses are on because I don't feel like doing my makeup. I love y'all. Peace out. We talk to y'all later. All right.
Next time.
Gotta go. Next time.